All right, welcome to Guitar Tone Talk. I'm going to put up this video we did in the studio just a little bit back about some of the stuff I like to rig up for guitar tones. Rig is the word we always use with that. And when I was growing up, I think the first guitar solo I noticed that where the hair stood up on the back of my arms and neck was Last Child off Aerosmith Rocks. Joe Perry had a guitar tone on there that really was sweet. And then, I was growing up in Houston in those early ZZ Top records. Billy always had tone for just, gosh, buckets of it. And then, Eric Johnson, another great Texas guitar player, had a really great tone. I get in trouble sometimes when I talk about the tones I don't like because a lot of them are very popular guitar players, but to me, they just sound like a bunch of racket. And I would also say the guitar solo on Comfortably Numb, which involved an Echoplex, a Strat, and a tube amp, which is something you're going to see is a big part of what I do. No matter what you try to do to mimic an Echoplex, it's not mimicable without a real one. I have one, and it has the preamp, and I don't take it out with me anymore because it's too precious to me. But kind of like my Les Paul, I don't really play it in public because if something ever happened to it, I'd be devastated. But guitar tone is really a big part of your signature. Neil Schon from Journey, as I went on to really start thinking about crafting songs and stuff, I always remember that solo on Who's Crying Now was another guitar tone that I really took a liking to. There's a song called Boys of Summer by Don Henley, which has two guitar tones that I think are very memorable on it because the guitar solos on that track are Joe Walsh, who has a great guitar tone and a touch, and Steve Lukather has a great tone and touch. And they both played on that song, And then you listen to Eddie Van Halen's Fair Warning album. That is a whole next level. And then let's start talking about Alan Holdsworth. The guitar tones on Road Games and the guitar tone on Metal Fatigue, Unparalleled. The guitar tone on my song, Everyone Knows My Drinking, No One Knows My Thirst. I saw how he did that. I was at his home in Vista, and he showed me the way that was done. It was a tube amp in a closet, and I'll put that guitar tone up against anything I've ever heard in my life, So it's a constant strive and something you're looking for. And then I look for it in other players, I think that Miles Davis is somebody that you can look to for what I was looking for in guitar tone. What I love about someone's playing is when you can hear 1 nanosecond, one minute slice, and you know who it is. Very few people have that. Miles Davis has that outside of guitar. Let's talk about outside of guitar a little bit. Stevie Nicks' voice has that. Manuel Barreto, the great classical guitar player, I can tell his tone immediately when I hear it. Pablo Casals, the great cellist, I can tell his tone. Sonny Rollins. Sonny Rollins would probably be my favorite example. Like Michael Brecker, too, I can tell his tone immediately. But Sonny Rollins, I can tell his tone. In fact, Sonny Rollins would be my favorite tone of all time. Listen to Waiting on a Friend, the solo on the Rolling Stones record. So it's worth spending your time on it because when you do, you're looking inward. Even though I've looked at other players for inspiration, I always was trying to get out what I heard in my head, and what I heard in my head was something akin to the human voice. And I wanted air behind the notes. You rarely hear that in guitar, I am not a fan of Paul Reed Smith guitars. There's something inherently bad about the tone of those guitars. A lot of very capable players play them and they don't sound right to me. They sound plasticky. The sustain isn't right. And I think this is because they were trying to merge a Les Paul and a Strat in the beginning, which are two different worlds that probably don't collide very well together. I'm not going to name names, but in the prog rock world, recently, there's even a band out of Dallas where everybody's talking about how great these guitar players are. The guitar tone is just awful. It's pathetic. It sounds like a mosquito. Mosquito tone, as Jim Russell used to aptly call it. So it's just worth something that's always been dear to me. It's like taste. You know, when you have a fine wine or a really good aged steak or something that a lot of work has been put into, a really great, you could just tell it's a treatment of the tone, the way that you really get it to sound. It's a color. Okay, that's I'm going to share the video. It's a little bit longer than 5 minutes, so it's not going to be able to be made into shorts and stuff, but as we know, I'll put it on YouTube, and I'll also organically put it on Facebook, because I know a lot of my friends there have a better attention span than TikTok and the other places where people are scrolling. However, you can always pop over and hear the full story at my page on the YouTube, The Lion's Den, and my website. So while we're here today, wrapping up at the studio, and we happen to have Frankie here, we thought we'd get some good footage of the rig and stuff that we're using. We had a great session today with R.C. Williams on keys, Wes Stevenson on bass, and John Carruth on drums. You can't have a better rhythm section than that. And we really haven't printed a whole lot of guitar yet. We're just doing some scratch guitar and stuff. But I've been using this Wagner recently. It's the 20th anniversary KT-88 Shiva. It's got a little bit of a different kind of tubes in it than some of the other ones. And I'm really happy with it. It's got a great clean sound. And so I'll kind of walk you through the rig a little bit and let you see what we've been using. And I just picked this Boogie up too. As you know, I'm a big fan of the dual rectifiers. I used to have 3 of them, but I sold them, regrettably. Over periods of time I just changed my mind and tried different sounds on a lot of stuff. But this one dials up that really well, as much as, you know, the other sounds that I really like about the early Boogies. I'm how do you say, especially partial to the Boogies that have the unattachable, you know, the chord's non-detachable. I don't know what they changed after that, but they sound different to me, and they do. But anyway, so this is the Wagner. And here I've got just a Furman power conditioner, and I like these tuners because you can see them at night, and it really helps, you know, when you're in clubs and stuff. Sometimes it's kind of dark. And since my Echoplex that you've seen me post in some of my YouTube videos is so dear to me, and I don't want to get it stolen or broken or anything now, I've been using these stereo digital echoes by Chandler. They're the closest thing you can get to like an Echoplex kind of delay sound. You know, it's a really great organic sound. There's a lot of headroom. I've been using this as a kind of a booster to it. You can see it's called a EP Echoplex booster, because my Echoplex has a preamp inside it, and this kind of mimics that. So by having this in combination with this delay unit, I still get that sound that I'm so partial to, but without having to have extra tape loops around and you know, cartridges and stuff, and worrying about it spooling off on the floor and keeping up all the maintenance and everything. So it's a little bit more sturdy way of doing what I love to do. But I really love that clean sound. It really works out great. Then when we go over to the overdrive side of the amp, I go ahead and turn on the booster. I just love how it has that non-metal, kind of more fluid sound. The overtones are all there. Really great harmonics. All the little imperfections come out, and that's what I'm looking for. Just a real good, true sound that's almost kind of lyrical, you know. sounds too metally, you know. It kind of sounds like a, like my buddy Alan says, sounds like a wasp in a glass jar. I don't want that sound. I like the real, more beautiful sound. So we'll explore some more later, but some of the pedals we're going to be using this week, I love this one. The TC Electronic Booster Line Distortion. This one really gets a nice edge to the amp. And since I play a Strat, sometimes it sounds a little thin, so I'll use this Roger Mayer Voodoo bass. I've been using this thing for years. I can get a really big boost out of this. And Jim Russell, who's with Paul Reed Smith now, turned me onto this thing. This is a valvulator, a vacuum tube buffer, and a power supply. And this one I can use to get that kind of boost too. So I just try to keep it kind of simple. Don't use a whole lot of pedals. That's what I love about this amp. See, I can go from an awesome clean sound to a wonderful lead sound. With all kinds of sustain. That's what I want it to sound like. I want it to sound like a horn or the human voice, not a scratchy buzz saw, you know. So there's your update. That's what we're using right now, and we look forward to bringing you another one after we get done. And today's session was brought to you by Lamarco Prosecco, a wonderful Italian type of champagne that us Italians like to drink after we finish recording sessions. Just kidding, but I may have to hit these guys up. It's wonderful stuff. Get you some at the store and try it. I can't say enough good things about it. Cheers.